Hello lovely people and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to come on here and do a birth story. I feel like I want to know like how people's births went, what went through their mind, what like decisions they had to make and things like that. So I definitely want to share mine with you guys. So many people had so many questions for me. If we're doing the birth story, I feel like we should at least show the culprit, show who was behind all the pain and all the stress. Here they are, baby Oakley. It was you in there, wasn't it? It was you that had the cord around your neck. Wasn't it? Naughty baby. So let's get into the birth. Firstly, I wasn't like super nervous when, like before it was happening. I wasn't like dreading it, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to give birth. I was just kind of taking the whole thing in my stride and being like, there is no way back. Like this baby is coming out, whether I like it or not. So I just was kind of going with it. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I did go to hypnobirthing classes. I went to 4 classes over the space of a month. I actually went to my last hypnobirthing class on the day that my water broke. So I made it to my last class and then literally that night my waters broke. So that was just in time. So in that you like wrote your birth plan and everything like that. I'll tell you what my goals were. So I wasn't like super bothered about pain relief. I just said, if I need pain relief, I'll have it. If I want an epidural, I'll get one. But I'm gonna take everything step by step. Like I'm not just gonna walk in and be like, give me the epidural. I wanna see how it feels, feel the pain and go with the flow. So that was my plan. I wanted to have a go getting in the pool. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give birth in the pool, but I wanted to like get in the bath, like experience that, because I feel like having a nice warm bath is like kind of relaxing and nice. So I thought maybe I could try that. And my number one thing that I did not want, I literally wrote this in bold on my birth plan. I do not want a C-section. So totally no hate or anything to anyone else if they wanted to have a C-section or if they ended up having one. But for me, it's just not what I saw for myself. I didn't want to have a C-section. I didn't want to have like a big operation and be cut open and everything like that. I mean, it's major. It's like major surgery. I just didn't want that. I wanted to try and have like a natural delivery. So Tuesday, a week and 2 days before my due date, I had my birthing class in the day. And in my class, I started to get contractions. And I was thinking, is this Braxton Hicks or I'm literally going into labor? And I told my midwife who ran the class and she was like, oh my goodness, babe, we'll see you literally like on the labor ward. And we were like, ha ha ha. Like I didn't actually think I was gonna give birth. I didn't think I was gonna go into labor that day. I thought that was just like a funny coincidence. And then about 2 hours later from the hypnobirthing class, we got home and I was sitting on the sofa, I stood up and literally like you see in the movies. They say it's not like what you see in the movies, but it literally was. Like I stood up and I looked down at my trousers and they were soaking wet, and then I walked forward and then like water poured out of me. Like poured out of me, went all over the floor, and I was like, and I just knew immediately, I was like, my waters have literally broken. So I said it to Joe and then I ran to the toilet, and something I feel like nobody tells you is the waters don't stop. Like for the next few hours, the waters just keep pouring out of you. So in the car, waters are pouring out of me. I'm walking around, waters are pouring out of me. So like, I put on an outfit and it immediately got ruined because I thought it was done, but it's not done. So it's gonna keep pouring out of you. So then I phoned the hospital and was like, hi, just letting you know, my waters are broke. Can I stay at home? Like, because I know they say, don't come in straight away when you get contractions, try and do as best as you can at home. But because my waters are broken, that's like a different situation and you have to go to the hospital then and there. So they said, you have to come into hospital and we have to check for infection, any issues, check the waters are clear. So I was like, oh gosh, Joey had no hospital bag packed. I had like half of mine done, half of it was out. So we then from scratch, like Joey's running around the house. I was like doing my hair and makeup. I mean, I didn't want to look like totally rough going in. I didn't have any pain, so I thought, why not? Like, I might as well look okay. I sorted myself out, we got our bags together and we headed to the hospital. And then when we got to hospital, they said I was literally 1 centimeter dilated and my contractions had started by this point. They were about 10 minutes apart. All the waters broke and then they said, do you want to go home or do you want to stay? But at this point, they had mentioned that the baby's heart rate had a few moments where it dropped. So we were like, let's stay in, let's not go home, let's just make sure everything's okay. So then they took us down to the room and then we entered the birth suite. So then from then they said, let me give you just like a paracetamol or something to try and take the edge off your contraction so hopefully you can sleep. I took a paracetamol, it didn't do anything. It didn't take the edge off and I was having contractions like every 10 minutes. So you physically can't sleep if you're like in pain every 10 minutes. It's literally impossible. So I stayed awake that full night, and then they came in to see us at like 6 a.m. So I just laid there, I was watching The Real Housewives, and Joey got like a few hours sleep, but the contractions were bearable. So I just kind of firmed it. By the time we got to like 18 hours in the hospital, we were still only like 2 centimeters dilated, and it's getting to the point now where it's dangerous with your waters. If your waters break, you're on like a ticking countdown until they are worried that you're gonna get an infection, and the baby could get an infection. So I actually didn't know this, but if your waters break when you're at home, like first, that's actually not that much of a good thing, because now you're on a clock where they need to get the baby out by a certain point. Then at 18 hours, I had to start a antibiotic drip to make sure me or baby did not get an infection. And then by 24 hours, they were like, we need to look at getting this moving along because you're not progressing enough. So they want to give me the hormone drip, which is what you have when you're induced. So I didn't want to be induced. I wanted to give birth, just go into labor naturally. So I did kind of get that because I did go into labor naturally, but then I had to have the hormone drip to get things going, to like speed it up, because it was getting to the point of where like, we need to start getting this baby out now, and you're not getting there on your own. But unfortunately, before we started the hormone drip, they monitored the baby, and they said, every time that you're having a contraction, the baby's heart rate is dropping, and we are worried about it. So at that point, obviously your heart drops, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is like my worst nightmare. Something's gonna go wrong here. Joey's like trying to keep me calm, and he's like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. Basically, they said, we don't want to give you the hormone drip and then encourage the contractions to come along when the contractions are making your baby's heart rate drop, and then it could get worse and we could be in a dangerous situation. So I was like, well, what are we gonna do then? And they were like, we might have to do a C-section. And I was like, no, I was like, I can't have a C-section. Like, I just started freaking out. I was literally shaking. I was shaking, I was crying. I mean, I'd already been in labor for like 24 hours. I hadn't slept in 2 days at this point. I was like shaking, crying, having a full breakdown. And I was like, I can't have a C-section. I don't want to have a C-section. I'm not having a C-section. And then the midwife was kind of like, sauce. But yeah, Joey was like trying to calm me down, like, you're okay, you're okay. I picture myself being wheeled out and going, like laying on the operating table. Like, I just couldn't see it happening. And in my hypnobirthing class, they said, if they give you a situation, like this is something that you need to do, see if there's ways that you can change it. So is there anything I can do to change this outcome? What can I do? So it was like, maybe the umbilical cord is pressing on the baby when you're having a contraction, and that's why the heart rate is dropping. So maybe if you move around, it could move the baby and it might stop. So I walked around, I did laps of the hospital and things like that. That didn't do anything, unfortunately. Then I laid on my side on a peanut ball, and with my leg over the top in a very uncomfortable position, and it stopped, the heart rate stopped dropping. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then now I'm in a position literally like this with my leg up in the air, and I was like, I can't move because this is what's making it okay. So they were like, we need to monitor you for 40 minutes. If it's okay for 40 minutes, we'll do the hormone drip. We monitored it for 40 minutes. I just stared at the monitor and didn't move for the 40 minutes. The heart rate was okay. They said, well, okay, we're good. We're gonna do the hormone drip. I was like, thank goodness. No C-section, we're doing it. We did the hormone drip. I sat like this with my leg up in the air in that position for the next 4 hours. I didn't move, I didn't talk, I didn't watch TV, I just watched the heart monitor. And like every now and again it would do a little drop, but it was okay. Thank goodness that worked. And thank God for my hypnobirthing class. It was kind of like, try and find a situation. Don't just accept the outcome, try and fix it. So definitely remember that if you're giving birth. Like there could be something you could do, there could be movements you could do to get it going and fix it, like put the baby in a different position. I forgot to say, before they gave me the hormone drip, they said, by the way, the contractions were already pretty painful, and they were like, your contractions are gonna get way more painful when we give you this hormone drip. So we advise you have the walking epidural. So the walking epidural is like a half epidural. It doesn't numb your whole body. It just kind of numbs you, like semi-numbs you from here down, and you can still walk, you can still go for a wee, you're just kind of normal, but you're like, you feel less pain. And that was really good, that was really helpful. I would definitely recommend that if you want to get an epidural. If you can get a walking epidural, that's perfect because you can still walk. After the 4 hours, they said you're 8 centimeters dilated. Amazing. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then we waited literally a couple more hours and it was like, you're 10 centimeters dilated, we're ready to go. They called my doctor to come because in Dubai, your doctor is on call. So even if it's 2 in the morning, your doctor comes for your birth, which is pretty cool. The pushing position now. So I moved from my special position and I got in the pushing position. When I reached the pushing position, they were like, okay, so the baby's heart rate is dropping a lot and we need you to push for your life. Like, we need to get this baby out quick. So now I'm thinking, if not, I'm gonna end up in a C-section, which is not what I want. So I need to push this baby out. So it was time to push and I was like, I'm gonna push for my life. I put my legs up on the edges of the stirrups. I didn't put them in the stirrups, I put them on so I had like a push. I was literally pushing for my life, so much so that when I would push so hard that sometimes I would black out. So I literally would like black out. I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what I was doing. I would look around and I could see people in front of me and I could see them talking to me and I would think, where am I? And she would say, push again. And I was thinking, huh? Like, I didn't know where I was. And then I would realize, and then I'd think, oh, push. And then I would push again so hard until I nearly blacked out again. And the doctors and nurses were saying to me, they were like, this is unbelievable pushing for your first baby. Like, we literally can't believe it. But I was doing this because I was so like, I don't want them to say you've got to go back after all this and have a C-section. So I was like, I don't care, I'm pushing this baby out. So I think it took about 25 minutes from start to finish. So then the doctor was like, oh, I'm gonna just do it like a little snip downstairs to help and quickly get the baby out because of the situation and also so you don't tear. She also said my pelvic bones were so tight and she was honestly not sure if I was gonna be able to push the baby out. So they did the snip, then the baby's head came out and then they realized that the cord was around the baby's neck. So that was the reason with all the issues, that was the reason that baby's heart was dropping. So then it was like, there was a lot of people kind of in the room and they were all like trying to fix this situation. So then I pushed and they dragged the baby out and then they got the cord, quickly cut it, like got it from the baby's neck, make sure he was okay. He actually came out covered in blood, which I think was my blood because they cut me and then I also tore in 2 other places. Thank you very much. Luckily, he did cry immediately, so that was like amazing. They put him on me, it was all good, and then just randomly, he just went silent, and I was like, is he okay? Is he okay? And then the lady was like, do you want me to take him and check him? And I was like, yes, please. So she took him, checked him, everything was okay. He was 2.49 kg, which is tiny, so it's like 5.4 something pounds, which is super small. But then obviously where I had all of my tears downstairs and everything, they then needed to sew me up. So I was literally there, like, you have no dignity when you give birth. Like, they're putting their hands in all sorts of places to like check you and check the baby. Everything's going on. And then after, when they need to stitch you, my legs are in the stirrups. There's someone down there with like a needle and thread, literally sewing me back together. I was like, okay. Literally down there sewing for like over 30 minutes. Where I just lay there and they were just like doing a cross stitch like on my downstairs. That was interesting. That actually hurt. I could literally feel the needle like going through my skin. Probably because I had not the full epidural. I wasn't able to eat anything. So the birth went on from Tuesday until Thursday. And I wasn't able to eat because every time I ate, I threw it back up. So I tried to eat 3 times and every time I ate, I threw it back up. And I went through 2 full nights with no sleep. So by the end, when we got to the end and I was giving birth, it was like no wonder that I was blacking out and I felt so dead because I hadn't eaten in 3 days, I hadn't slept in 3 days. And now I've got to do like the biggest challenge of my life of pushing a baby out. So once the baby was out, I didn't actually feel very well. I felt really awful. I felt like I couldn't even hold him. Like, I was trying to hold him and be like present, but I didn't even know where I was. So I kind of needed a bit of time to like get myself together. Didn't really have that moment of like, oh my God, my lovely baby, because I was just on another planet. I didn't really even know where I was. So I needed to get myself together, have something to drink, something to eat, and then I felt like a little bit better. Will we do it again? Yes. We will do it again, but blimey. Honestly, my takeaway, next time, I feel like I'm just gonna go in and be like, give me the walk-in epidural. Thank you. And just be done with it. Like, there's no need. Like, just slip the epidural in me, slip me the walk-in epidural, and then I'm good. Yes, luckily, it's all worth it. No matter what was said in the video, it's all worth it. Look at that little face. Yes, you, cheeky baby. It was you in there, wasn't it? It is honestly really trippy when you think about that. Like when you even talk about the birth or think about being pregnant, you're like, that was you. Like now you can see them, you're like, that's you. That is so weird. That is so random. And like if you see the scan pictures, wasn't it, naughty baby? What were you doing in there? Oh, one more point. I also was not allowed in the pool because I had the hormone drip and I had the antibiotic strip. I wasn't allowed in the pool, so I didn't get to go in the pool, but never mind. But I hope that this was like insightful, interesting, hopefully not too scary. You're gonna be fine, don't worry. If it's you, you're gonna be fine. But if it's not, if this is what happens to you, you're still gonna be fine. Like even if it's a bad situation, it's okay. Like you will still be fine. But love you so much. Thank you so much for watching my video and see you soon.